Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have the fourth in a best of 5 against my good friend HanDHun here in the finals of the rookie tournament on Wargame Bootcamp Discord. And I got the counter pick this time. Last time he got the counter pick, and as soon as he chose Entente on Plunging Valley, I went with Entente Mech. And Jellyman is with us again for commentary like the last game, and I think you were saying something about that particular counter pick on this map?
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal, especially the fact that you're playing a mirror, but a mech version on a map that can be really, really strongly mech favored. It looks like you guys both bought second CDs in the opener, which is definitely the best call, especially in this matchup for both of you.
Right, and the other thing too, we played 4 games. This is our 4th game back to back to back to back, right? So we were each taking in all of that baggage of the previous games, how that stuff looked. And one thing is we'd always gone for the tick. So we'd been playing a very tick-heavy series, and that's going to be something we're both thinking about. Something else that I was thinking about, let me just say this up front, is the last game had a really excellent Vab sneak from Han. He got right around my 2-pointer, he killed my CV and some elite infantry and vehicles and a man-pads team.
At least 120 points of
infantry
alone.
Like, ignoring even the CV. So I was I was a little on tilt, and that maybe explains this opener of just all the BVPs in the world, double prom S, M84A, and just like, wow. Let's go. I'm getting into this woods. This is where I want to fight you.
One Silo as AA? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, one Shilo. And that's pretty much it. I bought a Sava.
Be good AA once they hit the
forest. Yeah. But that is a Moderna.
Oh yikes.
Right. So how do you think I survived this situation?
Hope with some smoke.
Yeah, well, my smoke was smoking the M84AN, so that was retargeting. So I don't have it online quite yet. I'm losing BVPs left, right, and center.
Everything's gonna get panicked.
Yup. And weapons jammed.
Oh wow, that is... Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, that was absurdly lucky for me, and I had actually wondered, I was actively wondering at the moment, why isn't that Moderna killing me more?
And here's the smoke.
Right, there's the smoke. It's a little late. It's because of the gamma on this side. I was kind of like, okay, is there going to be a couple more? Like, what's the deal here? How do I avoid that? And then, I mean, this is just such a waste. Such a waste. BVPs, Proletary 90, Mechanizovana, everything here.
I will mention, it's really good actually to see you guys being so tech-oriented, especially for a rookie tournament, is pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, okay, so I was going to ask you to explain a couple things for me, just because, I mean, I think it's nice to do on the stream, but also, I mean, the more information, the better, right? And that's one thing. Do people really ignore that? Because we're playing Conquest. Like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I think that people kind of get caught up in their own little world of what's going on. Well, I'd say there's 2 thought processes. There's the people who just don't quite know any better, I want to say.
Yeah.
They just kind of ignore it.
And that happens for newer players, I guess.
Yeah, they're just kind of playing the game. But then there's also another thought process, which is with that 100 points, I could potentially press the advantage and score a decisive blow.
Yeah, and for some maps, I understand that. For some openers, I understand that. Like, I do that sometimes on Punch Bowl.
Especially for openers, even some decks, like with the USSR, you're not going to typically open with the second CD as much, just because
everything's expensive.
Units are so expensive. That extra 100 points could be K52.
Right.
You otherwise don't have any Hilo recon.
And particularly for USSR, like that, it builds. USSR strength is exponential. Right, but Mech is a bit more consistent than that, I think, and I thought I had the space too, and I just, you know, I really didn't want to be down 100 some points like I was the previous game, and yeah, I was on tilt, man. I apologize. HT40, just like, yep, found it.
Are you gonna snipe the fob, or are you gonna do them?
Oh no. Oh, I tend not to fob.
You won't see that in any of the other the trained, hardened, or veteran elite tournaments. I think fob is cooked.
Yeah, I also really didn't have great tools to hit it. This is mech. I didn't take the 10 HE option either.
Priest?
I took Priest, I think. I didn't... Oh wait, our Priests are 5, aren't they?
They are 5, but they've got really big splash and a lot of ammo, so they actually do end up being really, really good at sniping fobs. But
Hmm.
it's you and Han playing against each other.
Yeah, I didn't
I
think
think
it
you
was
guys
worthwhile
probably have
doing.
reservations about doing things like that
That
for the
is fair.
most part,
That is fair. Yeah. Now the
which is
Paddle 90,
respectable.
they have no such qualms, but that also was just a really nice plummet.
Yeah, wow.
Like I just got cleaned out, right? So my whole opener plan was to go right into this section of woods, and then I got nothing left here.
Yeah, and I think at least what I'd recommend for trying to pull something like this off, because I again I do a similar push, or I wouldn't even
Maybe
say
not
I
all
do.
clumped
I'd
up.
say it's a yeah, exactly. This is a pretty common push, especially for a mechanized deck. And what you want to do is definitely like you have Paddle Brunky 90. You could helo drop them in there first.
Yeah,
Get control of this little forest, and you're punishing that Moderna really hard when he peeks out, as
because
well
you have
as
those launchers online. They have the
as you
range.
said, spreading out is really important for that. Just because everything was clumped up, and I guess maybe it worked out fine because you ended
Well,
up scoring a crit on him. But
but that's not a good reason for it to have ended up
did
fine.
it even work out fine? You still managed to lose everything.
Yeah,
We'll see.
quite an accomplishment. Definitely what I was aiming for there, right? I think that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't really think it changes that much of the plan. We've seen a Plowman buy that's 100 points. I knew that even with all of that death and destruction on my end, I had cleaned up some infantry in there at least, and
Yeah.
the success over in Foxtrot really made me happy because Bravo, I can still contest, I can still countercap this, but I was really worried about. I think at the time of this game, a couple of days before, if not the day before, you walked me through how to attack Foxtrot from red side.
Mm.
And I had that in my head as well. It's like I want to defend against this. I wanted some vehicles up on the high ground. I wanted to take this zone, which it's a shame I didn't get that actually in the recording watching earlier because um, a 5 point, actually the 10 point transport saved me against some of Han's infantry that otherwise would have killed my Pruskum Sneechy.
I think he
But
had Paddle Brunky there.
yeah, he did, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Messing around.
it was close. I barely got this, but the fact that I did has really allowed me to exploit this side in the woods and just get into the town. And if I can lock down Foxtrot and contest Bravo, then that's the game plan, right? So
Yeah, and this is pretty. I see this a lot actually. I don't see it in my own games from either side typically. Maybe it's just the deployment differences, but pushing all the way out like into Foxtrot into this town is pretty impressive. And if you manage to get a foothold to where your BVPs are on the left, this is really, really hard for your opponent to retake.
yeah. So on that note, I think Han had been trying to get more support for his Moderna in the center. So we had like Specialny coming up. We had some things there, and I thought he also reasonably expected to have more time than he did.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
And I think
because
he knows he's playing a mirror match against Mech. He really doesn't want to fight in this steep section of forest against HanDHun Mech with the priests and all of the infantry.
yeah,
We're just
but
gonna get outground and outtraded in the steep forest, like pretty
that's
much no
why I
matter
was
what he
attacking
does.
though. Like that's why I was attacking instead of waiting, is because if I took that engagement back here, where his Moderna can use its main gun, where all that sort of stuff can kill my support, even an AN. If an AN sitting right here, I have such a hard time dealing with it outside of my own AN and support, which, a 50-50 against the same unit is not what you want to take. So I attacked for a reason, and yeah, I might take some losses, but we've dealt out a pretty good amount here. I wanted the AN, but I think it's still some pretty good value. I'm not quite sure what that is actually. Ooh, that, yeah, stabilization. That poor Moderna has taken so many crits.
Now that's part of the threat of playing against mechanized, especially a deck like this, like Entente mechanized, where you get the BVPs with the ATGM on them for free, and they're coming at veteran or elite.
Right, which means higher crit rates.
Yeah, with like a 15 or 20% crit rate. A little heat weapon like that, BMP1s, you see this with a lot as well in East Block or Red Mech.
Mm-hmm.
It's really unpleasant, I'll say, to play against when you have this big like centerpiece 160 point 170 point tank like a Moderna.
Yeah.
and you're really relying on it getting its value, and it gets critted, and it's out of the fight for 2 minutes.
So before I forget,
Substantial.
just to go back to something earlier, uh, the most confusing thing I heard about this map, I guess months ago, games ago, and experience ago, was that it's really good for Mac because you come into this game new and you're looking at it and you go, it's so wide, right? You really think this would favor wheels? You think it would favor getting there first, exploiting gaps, everything like that? Because there's just so much space.
Yeah.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about why it is so good for Mac?
Well, I think what you're seeing already is it's
Ooh, what the heck?
Oh, hello.
Sorry about that, guys.
Ah.
What the hell?
What you're seeing is I thinking of a way to word this properly. So first of all, if you zoom out, the right side of the map, a third of the map is not being used.
So all the way over here?
Well, I mean, the peripheries of the map taken out of the equation, the actual like zoned areas that people are fighting for control of. Bravo is nothing's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what Han has there, but it's very likely not a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a decent amount actually.
Yeah, it's
And
like
this
what,
is part
120
of,
points?
Yeah, I think that this is also, we talked about this a bit in our last game.
Oh,
Where,
Padabranki got the kill.
on a CV?
Yep.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. As it turns out, he actually had just brought in another CV,
Oh,
originally intended for
that's gonna
Bravo.
bring you
But
+1 though once he unloads, which is pretty big.
yeah, for sure. Anyway, as you were saying.
So, like, a third of the map isn't being fought over. So, already... Ooh, almost perfect Nietzsche. So, already the map is narrowing. Then we look at the area on the left can be fought over. Like, Foxtrot, for the most part, is being fought over not on the left of Foxtrot, where you will see sneaks. Yeah, exactly where your cursor is. But for the most part, this remains unfought over. Most of the time, it's going to be fighting towards where the PvP is, to the right of the T in Foxtrot.
Gotcha.
So now the map, I'd say, is condensed down to 1/3 the size.
And then
of
if
what
most of the
it
combat
appears to be.
is in that remaining zone, like it is
And-
right now.
And then you look at the point where if you lose either zone, well, that doesn't matter. If you just shove the middle really hard
It's a +2.
and countercap your opponent's 2-pointer, even if you've completely lost one of these zones on the peripheries, it doesn't matter because you're still ticking your opponent +1 as long as you can hold that CV in there.
That is
And
fair.
the ease of access to your opponent's 2-pointer is why most people would say in a fair match, the side that you're on is the quote-unquote good side.
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to put too much weight on good or bad side. I think everyone has its strengths and weaknesses, but I mean, I'm a captain, so I think there might be a reason
I'd say
for that.
it-
We did
with
get the
certain
Moderna right there.
matchups, the whole good side, bad side thing can be a lot more
Impactful.
relevant. Yeah.
Number
And
one
this-
way to know if I'm on tilt.
Oh man.
I turned it off. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I guess I hear what you're saying for that, and
Especially with mech, where you're able to just access this deep forest, unless he has you all the way zoned out.
sort of like
you
fighting
just-
back here.
Yeah, you're just granted straight access to deep forest with Proletariat 90. And
But that makes it like opener dependent, doesn't it? Because let's say Han's opener is to bull through into alpha, which might well have been my strategy if I was on the other side. As
Yeah,
soon
it
as he
sounds
gets
really
me with a
good.
general deck where he's holding here and he has
And
the
then he
Moderna
gets
like up
the tanks.
there, yeah, then there's open field. But I don't know, it's just so. I used to, when I started off playing, I used to think the opener wasn't all that crazy because it's a lot of points at once, but you get a good income. And then the more I play on these maps, it's like, well, you can fight and have it be relatively even kills losses. M84 and getting it itself is kind of funny, but where you fight matters so much.
yeah, definitely. That's a good thing to note.
Like the front line being this far forward really helped me out. Greyhound, by the way, and then we have T72 M1K coming up and forward, and this to me was sort of the icing on the cake. I was looking for a really oppressive game because we're only 15 minutes in and going for a cap on Delta, but I figured I could hold it. I have an AN, I have Proletariat 90, we've killed a Moderna.
So, worst
Right.
case scenario, you just back out.
It's not the world's best, like 2 top armor, but
I think these are perfectly fine. The 2 top armor is really, the way I think of it is it's only really relevant for corrected shot artillery and
hmm,
for cluster munitions, which he doesn't really have cluster munitions. If he
the
does bring
plummen,
the MiG-21.
yeah, and the plummen will
And
force me out, but like if it
eh,
starts fires,
it's 2 damage. You might take like 3. I don't think the plummen's really going to be a major threat to the T-72 CB, even with the 2 top armor.
yeah,
Is that top armor is only applicable when you get hit right on top, which doesn't really happen that much.
yeah. Otherwise, it's 3 back, it's 7 side, 14 front.
Yeah,
Like, we can take that, and it's maybe not cozy, but it certainly is acceptable.
I'm a
Which,
big fan of buying these big, expensive tank CVs,
yeah,
and you just put them in the zone, and people will spend a lot of points trying to get them out. And as long as you don't let them do that, you're up.
yeah, that's fair. One comment, one criticism of my own take here. I've had this section of town for a while. The fact that I didn't put an ATGM team and a manpad team here, yeah, like that was a missed opportunity. If I had a Shiloh here, that's screening out everything like the MI-17. If I have an ATGM team here as well, and this deck takes the Shiloh in the big boy BVP, not the 15 pointer, actually the 25 pointer. Yeah.
Big ATGM.
Right. Actually, we have 2 of them right here. Yeah. So that's the 26 AP power, low accuracy, sure,
Yeah,
but yeah, like right. So you have high veterancy to sort of offset that, and I figured I wanted some Shiloh to protect on this side, and just in deck creation, when I was looking at this, I'd already spent all my BVP M80As, and I wanted to have a complete package with the buy.
yeah, this is a pretty common one.
Not exactly, standing on the edgiest of edges there, but I don't know, you don't always have to, right? Like Blitzwar did a video about this a little while back saying, hey, play on top mech and you can just turn your brain off. And while I don't think that's entirely true, it's certainly not entirely false either. So, one thing.
I will definitely say that playing on top mech, you're definitely utilizing less of your brain than you might otherwise be.
Yeah, like BVPs and Vidras getting out in front of all the infantry and not immediately dying because they can stun everything. Like, yeah, there's a lot that goes right here. Any other deck, I would have pulled these guys back, waited until the Mechanizovana got forward, but you can kill infantry, you can kill vehicles. There's the Moderna, and yeah, side shots.
Oh no, Moderna. Wow.
Yeah, low base accuracy. M84AN on the other hand.
Even mattered if he hit, but it's still.
I mean, it wouldn't have gotten the kill. It might have increased the chance of a miss, though, if I panicked the M84. I actually had a 25k already on the way looking for it, and we just retargeted to an M84.
Yeah, definitely not super impactful miss, but, it hurts. It hurts when... I liken it to... You try to come back in this game sometimes, and the game just says, nope. Nope.
Yeah, and some of that certainly does come down to RNG. Like, I've done the same pushback twice on the same map, and one time it works and one time it doesn't. And some of that comes down to your opponent's buys, some of it comes down to your opponent's skill. I actually used all the ammunition. Goodness gracious.
That is allegedly why this is a 15-point unit, by the way.
Oh, really? It's a low ammunition?
Balanced by ammunition, yes.
That's just not true, though.
Don't worry about it.
You don't need all 390 rounds to kill 50 points of infantry in the open ground.
It's Eugen Systems, but
yeah,
won't get into it too much.
Fair. So I've got Delta, I've got a countercap on Bravo, we have Foxtrot locked down. There's the buys finally for other units there, and that gives me a +3 with 21 minutes left. That's an easy win right there on tick, and I don't mean easy in terms of the fight, but certainly in terms of conquest points, right? Like, we're not... Every game up to this point in the series has been...
nail-biter, really.
Yeah, I mean, game 3 maybe a little bit less so, but...
There's been no complete wash.
Right, and this one I'd say is much more bordering on that, because Han just hasn't been able to push me out of these woods. And every single infantry engagement is just... I don't know, it's a lot of value, right? And that certainly has to be annoying. Second M84A, and kaboom, there it is. I mean, it's a 130-point plane, and it's got, what, 190 points worth of tank kills? I lose it, and I just don't care. It's fine. It even forced out an L19 buy, which is 160 points.
Yep, he's basically down points on that trade.
Right. So
Yeah, you don't get to use your thing again, but what else is he gonna kill with that?
right. I mean, we've killed a Moderna already. We have other tools for killing Modernas if need be, and that's points in the air that aren't on the ground fighting me here. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. To be honest, it's something you have to consider. Is like there's an opportunity cost to buying a counter, and if you get the kill, that's great. But if the counter's more expensive than the problem, like I don't know, it bugs me sometimes when the counter is that much more expensive.
Yeah, I think that's part of why things like budget ASFs, stuff like the 120 point Mirage and the 120 point F16, part of why they're so good is they're always going to be cheaper than the problem, and if they trade with something that is a counter to them, something like an enemy's ASF, you're always up on points.
Yeah, it's like the Soviet PD.
Oh, the Soviet PD, yeah, don't get me started.
Yeah. It's another unit. I heard it got nerfed like way before I even started playing this game.
Ago.
Yeah, which seems well deserved. It's still strong at 100 points right now. And for those of you who aren't aware of that unit, it basically carries 2 long-range semi-active missiles with very high HE power. And if it hits with one of them, it runs a chance of just one-shot critting.
It's got another 2.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Close range, also high HE missiles.
But they're in a different slot, which means that even though they're semi-active, they don't have to wait for the first one to hit before they can fire. So it's rough, and
if
that
it hits
plane,
you a single time, you're stunned.
Right.
Which means, especially when you're playing versus Soviets, you get stunned by the what happens a lot is you get stunned by the PD. PD only hits one of its 4 missiles. PD gets away, and you're left to be
fly
stunned
over an AA net
and fly over a single Scryjet, which will instantly kill you.
Yeah.
Because you're on 2 HP max, and if it rolls a crit, the PD that is, it insta kills you. So.
And then you think about the matchups that are like Blue Dragons. People buy the 52D all the time. The block 52D. It's 160 points. I would take a PD up to kill it. And like
I'd probably wait until I have both out, but.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, but that's a pretty good guaranteed trade. M84. Yeah, I mean, side armor versus 26A armor piercing.
Oh, yeah, it's done.
Yeah, that wasn't even the ATGM team. I was watching that happen going, oh no, that feels rough. But, I mean, I actually like the pairing of the Vidra 2 and the M96. So you get the 15-point autocannon, 2 frontal armor, and then you have the Malyuka 2T, 26 AP, and 2 weapon teams beside it. Like, that with a little bit of recon is such a capable squad, it's ridiculous. But there was a cost to this. This is the first time I actually got pretty thinned out in the section of woods after the opener. And
I think there is a bit of a problem, right, when you're thinned out like that. Wow, good draw.
Yeah.
The Concam will finish him.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, yeah, you're really slow, your mech, he could potentially get back into this forest. Yikes, ripped the helicopters, wow.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could. This is part of why this time I did finally draw these guys back.
Once he gets into the forest, where does he go from there? He can't really... He's not going to be able to kill your CV anytime remotely soon.
At this point, if he shoots the gap...
Mech, you're going to get there before he's done something. Oh my god.
Yeah, up-vetted Sheila, man.
Yeah, and one of them critted too, because they only got 4 HA.
Right, so... Oh man, that was pretty rough. I think as you're saying, like, let's say he pushes all the way to this tree line. He's running into Proletary that are backed by BVP, BVP, AN, Drug Team, more BVPs, T-55s. Like, even if he goes all the way to here, it's like that, the play with the French Revolution where they round the corner and there's just, I don't know, how many musketeers sitting there going, hey, how you doing, man? It's the same sort of thing.
Showing up, too.
Right.
All you have to do is keep buying Proletary 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And the PBs leading the way I like as well, because they stun things so quickly, it's insane. We've actually been forced to move just a little bit, but still usually ticking at +3, 475 to 8. And we're actually...
past 4 straw, and it's...
Yeah, this is pretty much the end of the game.
Not to detract from your gameplay too much, but I think this is like on the match decision, or the deck map decision.
It was
I'm not gonna
rough.
say it's over at that, but it's really brutal for Han to try to play against this
Yeah, like
deck map side. Like, it doesn't leave him many options, and he certainly tried, but it's
it was brutal. It was
yeah,
just brutal. I
definitely,
mean,
it's just straight up brutal.
it's the difference between a tourney game and something like ranked. Like ranked, you don't know what you're getting into. You can't pick and counter
Or a
pick.
friendly.
Right, right.
Might
And
not do that.
this was just, yeah, okay. I mean, how do you deal with that? And the only way I know to deal with that is sort of what we were saying earlier, is like you get the super heavies out and you have to fight in the open. The second you lose the open ground, you're just toast. And that's what happened here. So standout units, Sava saved me in the opener. The Shiloh I want to find because they were just insane.
So, AN, man.
Yeah. Yeah, where's the AN? Right here. Yeah, another AN, a Moderna. Just lots of value in every BVP. It's just kill list, kill list,
yeah,
kill
BVP
list.
anti-air. Kill Sahara and an MI-17. Not
Right.
even surprised.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty bog standard. Alright, well, we've got one match left in the best of 5. So far, I've got 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie to my friend HanDHun, and we'll see how it ends up. Either tomorrow or the next day, we'll see when these games go. But we have a couple more community casts as well. And a big thank you to the Mint Jellyman for joining me for commentary.